Hello and welcome back to the channel. On today's tutorial I'm going to be sharing with you how to draft and sew a trendy corset gown. So if it's your first time viewing my channel, please hit on the subscribe button and let's dive right into today's video. So the first thing we're going to work is on our cup, and I'm going to be making use of an already made cup. I'll be creating a dart, 3 inches dart on it, and on my main fabric I've gone ahead to cut this out and I ironed bra foam on it. So I added 1/2 inch round on my cup. Then on this part I cut out the main fabric and the lining and I added 1/2 inch round it, as you can see. So for the centerpiece I cut it into 2 because that is what we have on the thumbnail. So now I'm just going to open it up and place it. So this is what I have on this side. So on this other side I'm just going to open it up and I will place it. So I'm going to be joining it with 1/2 inch. Any excess I have, I'm going to go ahead to trim it out. So after sewing the 3 inches dart on my cup, I'm going to be attaching it to the main cup. So this is what I have. Just like I said, I ironed bra foam on it and I'm just going to go ahead to attach this to it. So you can use your hemming gum to do this, or you can go ahead to use your machine to stitch. So we're going to be using a machine to stitch it. Just push it to the lower part and stitch with 1/2 inch to that part. So I'll also repeat it on the other part of the cup also. So now I've gone ahead to stitch my cup and this is what I have. So the next thing you want to do is to go ahead to pleat your cup. So this is the fabric I have and I'm just going to pleat it on it. So I don't have much fabric. I'm just working with 3 yards. So I'm just going to pleat and I will be pinning while doing that. So while you're doing this, you need your pin to work. You need to work with your pin. If not, after pleating, the pleating is going to go out. So while you're pleating, if you pleat, you're going to pin at the both sides this way. Pleat and you're going to pin, then pleat on the other part also and you're going to pin. So you're going to continue pinning this, and while you're pinning it, you're going to pin it at the end of your cup. Why? Because you're going to be stitching on it to hold it down. So after pleating, this is what I have, and you're going to go ahead to trim out. So before trimming out, you're going to stitch on your cup. So if you notice this part, I cut out the bra foam at that part because that part has the sleeve and you don't need a bra foam at that part. Now I'm going to stitch with 1/2 inch round it. After stitching, I'm going to go ahead to trim it out. So I'm done stitching now. What I'm going to do is turn it to the right side, but before that I'm going to unpin my cup and then I will follow the shape of the cup and I will trim it out. So after trimming out your cup, this is what you'll be having. So now I'm going to repeat the same process for the other part of the cup. So I've gone ahead to join the body and now I'll be joining the cup to it. So I'm going to take the center of the cup and pin it to the joining I have at the center, and I'm going to be pinning it all around. So when you notice that the space you have is a little smaller than your cup, all you have to do is just notch it a little and place your cup, and by the time you do that, you notice that your cup is aligning with what you have. After that, I'll just go ahead and pin my cup, place and pin it. So as you can see, it is matching the space that I have, and after pinning it, I'm going to stitch it with 1/2 inch. Coming over to the other side of the cup, I'm going to also repeat the same process. I'm going to go ahead to place, and this is what I have. It is not really matching, and I'll go ahead to notch it a little at this part also, just like I did at the other side. After notching it, I'm going to go ahead to place it. So after placing it, you notice that it is matching, and all you have to do is just to go ahead and pin it down, and after pinning it all the way around, you're going to stitch it up with 1/2 inch, joining the body of the corset and the cup with 1/2 inch. So you're going to do that on the machine, and I'll also repeat the same process for the other side of the cup also. So before you go ahead to stitch on the machine, you have to make sure that what you have is okay. So this is what I have at this point, and I will go ahead to go and stitch it with 1/2 inch and repeat the same process for the other side. So now this is the sleeve of the dress for the front part that I have cut out. So I added 1/2 inch in front. So this is it. I added 1/2 inch in front. So I added at the lower part and at the upper part, and do not add at the side of the armhole because we've already added that when we were cutting out. So I went ahead to turn it up, and I will be attaching it to the corset. So that part that we have the armhole at the front part, you're going to be attaching it that place. So pin, and you're going to stitch with 1/2 inch. On the other side, also repeat the same process, place and stitch with 1/2 inch. So I'm done joining it, and this is what I have. So now I'll be bringing the lining. So this is the lining. When I was joining the main fabric, I joined my lining and I ironed stay to the bra cup. So now I'm going to be pinning it down before I go ahead to stitch. So after pinning it down, I'll stitch with 1/2 inch all the way at the top and by the side. So I'm going to notch it, and I will iron it for it to relax. So after sewing, I notched it. You can also top stitch the 1/2 inch sewing on the lining also. So moving over to the back pattern of this dress. So this is what I have at this part, and at the body I cut out my pattern. So you can equally blend your darts if you don't want to sew a dart, or you can place and cut out. So I added 1/2 inch at the lower part and at the upper part for joining and turn up allowance. So now I'm also going to go ahead to stitch it up. To start stitching, I'm going to first of all notch the part where my sleeve is going to start. So to get that, I'm going to place my pattern paper on it, and I'm going to notch. After notching, I'm going to go ahead to notch the other part too. This is to indicate where your sleeve is going to start on the dress. So if you have any question concerning this tutorial, please leave your question at the comment section. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button. So now this is the sleeve. I cut out 4 pieces. I'm using the main fabric also as the lining for the sleeve. So I'm going to be stitching with 1/2 inch on the part that is going inside. So at the armhole area, I'm going to go ahead to leave it that way. So I'll go over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to go ahead to stitch. After that, I'm going to take my sleeve, that part I notched, I'm going to place my sleeve there. That is where my sleeve is going to start, and I'm going to be stitching with 1/2 inch. So before doing that, you can go ahead to place your lining, and you're going to stitch all the way round it. Leave the lower part open and go ahead to pin your pattern. So after I'm done stitching, this is what I have. I went ahead to join the back with 1 inch because that is my zipper allowance for the dress. So we are going to finish sewing the dress before we go ahead to attach zipper allowance to the dress. So now we are going to be joining the front and the back together. So this way, I'm going to use the back shoulder to turn the front shoulder. Flip it this way, flip the back, and use it to turn your front shoulder and stitch with 1/2. So after that, I'm going to be cutting out the sleeve for this dress. So the fabric I'm working with is not that much, so I'm just doing a freehand sleeve, and with that way you can also slash and split to get more puffiness on the sleeve. So I've gone ahead to cut out the sleeve with that pattern I cut out, and I cut out a small band at the lower part, which is where your sleeve is going to stop. You're going to measure it round. So I'm going to attach the band to the lower part of the sleeve this way, and after doing that, I'm just going to go ahead to join it to the body of the dress. So this is the sleeve after I've joined the band to it, and I will notch the center. After notching the center, I will go ahead to join it to my dress. So now I'm done joining my sleeve and I have pinned my dress down. The next thing is to insert my measurement. I'm going to place my tape starting from the under bust. I'll go ahead to mark my under bust, mark my waist and my bust line. So I'll at the waistline, I'll be inserting my measurements at that point. My waist is 28 divided by 2. I have 14. So what I have right here is about 15 and a half. So I have 1.5. So I'll be sharing it at both sides of my waist. At the under bust, I'm going to place and also mark my measurements at that point, which I equally have the same measurement at that point, and I'll go ahead to mark it also. So after marking that, we'll be moving over to the upper part of the dress, which is the bust. Then I'll go ahead and insert my bust circumference, then connect it to the armhole of the dress and shape with 1/2 inch to the sleeve. So after this, I'll go ahead to shape my dress, and after I'm done shaping my dress, this is what I have. Now I'm just going to tear open at the back of the dress. After I'm done sewing, this is what I have at the upper part of my dress. So we'll be moving down to the lower part of this dress. The full length of my dress is 34 inches. So if you're going to fold the lower part, you can add 1 or 2 inches folding allowance. But for me, I'm going to be weaving the lower part of my dress, so I just added 1/2 inch to it. So this is what I have here. The full length of this that I have is about 3 yards. So, and the width of this dress is about 17.5 inches. That is, my half length is, my shoulder to waist is 17 plus 17. I have 34 plus 1/2 inch, making it 34.5. So now I'll be gathering this at the waistline of my dress. So I'm going to go ahead to get the center of the fabric, notch it, and from that point we'll be placing it at the basque part of the dress. So place it this way, and you're going to work with your pin at this point. So place it at the pointed part, the notch part to the pointed part, and you're going to be pleating it and you will pin. If you pleat, you pin. You pleat, you pin till you get to the end of one side, and you're also going to repeat it for the other side also. Then I'll go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to be joining it with 1/2 inch. So after pleating to the end, I will go over to my sewing machine and I will join it with 1/2 inch. Repeat the same process for this other side. So this is what I have after I'm done joining it. Now this is the buttons that I have. I'll be adding it to the center of the dress, just like we have on the thumbnail, and I'll go ahead to attach zip to the back of the stitch the back of the dress and attach zip to it. So after that, I'll be showing you the final look of the dress. So at this point, we have come to the end of today's tutorial. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please hit on the subscribe button. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and see you in our next video. Thanks.